family has alleged that she was being brutally tortured and assaulted by her husband over dowry demands.
A shocking trend in the country's capital. 2 young women forced to commit suicide, allegedly after dowry pressures.
This would have been her birthday today. Her family says she killed herself because she was being harassed for dowry.
From Rajasthan, where a woman was allegedly gang raped by her in-laws and her husband, then forcibly tattooed abuses on her body because her father had failed to give 50,000 rupees in dowry.
Even though it stands officially illegal, that dowry is a reality in India is something that no one can deny. However, the fight against this practice has now been raging on for decades. Today we take a look at the struggle of the feminists who through their grit managed to dent the wall of patriarchy in our country. The movement against dowry in India steadily gained popularity and reached great vigor in the 1980s. Although the Dowry Prohibition Act had been placed since 1961, it was still rampant. The earliest protests against dowry in the post-independence feminist movement were made by the Progressive Organization of Women in Hyderabad in 1975. In 1977, the movement gained momentum when in Delhi the demands were raised, including not only an end to dowry but also against crimes committed for dowry, especially murder and abetment to suicide. The movement saw the largest action in Delhi, probably because Delhi had the highest number of dowry murders in the country. In Delhi, the first organization to raise the issue of dowry and crimes related to it was the Mahila Dakshata Samiti. It was, however, Stree Sangharsh, a feminist group, that made dowry harassment a common topic in households. On June 1, 1979, they organized a protest march against the death of Darvinder Kaur, who was burned by her mother-in-law and sister-in-law, claiming it to be murder for dowry. Another major agitation occurred in Malviya Nagar against the murder of Kanchan Chopra. In this case, a complaint of dowry harassment had been lodged by the brother of the victim. However, the police refused to register it because it was a family matter. The next day, Chopra was dead. Women's organizations were monumental in their contribution to the cause. They carried out the organizing of people, collecting information, and holding public meetings where people pledged to not take or give dowry. Feminists also demanded that proof that a woman had killed herself because of harassment for dowry be considered enough for a charge of abetment to suicide. Moreover, such enthusiasm and participation from the people encouraged women activists and feminists to educate people about the abuse and harassment associated with dowry. One of the first organizations to do so was Stree Sangharsh through a play Om Swaha.
यार इस सब के बीच तुम क्या करते रहे? औरों की तरह तमाशा ही देखते रहे ना?
हम और कर भी क्या सकते हैं? आखिर ये तो तुम्हारा घरेलू मामला है।
घरेलू मामला? क्या दहेज के लिए एक लड़की को मार डालना घरेलू मामला कहलाएगा? क्या हर घर में फैल रहे इस अत्याचार को हम घरेलू मामला कहकर चुप रहेंगे?
By 1978, there were rewards for the efforts of activists and people. The issue of harassment and murder for dowry was brought to the national stage and became a public concern. Before the movement, death by fire was considered a suicide and a family matter. Even when victims lived long enough to incriminate their husbands or in-laws, these cases were registered as suicides. Soon, there were also major developments in the legal system of the country. In December 1983, the Criminal Law Second Amendment Act was passed, introducing Section 498A to the Indian Penal Code. In this section, both mental and physical cruelty was made non-bailable offence with a sentence of up to 2 years and a fine. Indian Evidence Act was also amended by including Section 113A that helped with proving abetment to suicide. Lastly, there was also an amendment of Section 174 of the Criminal Procedure Code, which made it compulsory to do a post-mortem of a woman who died within 7 years of marriage. Despite the laws being written in black and white, the truth is that the situation in India is still grim. As per an NCRB report of 2019, India still sees one woman losing her life to dowry death every single hour. While feminists have secured some major victories, this sorry state of affairs is testament to the fact that despite years of struggle, patriarchal attitudes are still far from changing, and that is why it's important that the resistance keep raging on.